Hello world, better late than never, but at least we're here. Hopefully this doesn't come back to bite us. We're here with part 6 of Armageddon, Karma. And I've been kind of neglecting this series a little this season because Armageddon has definitely been one of the weaker stories thus far. Let's go through this chapter, which I think redeems it a little, but also has its own problems, and we'll see what maybe we could be doing in the future to alleviate this sort of thing. Enough, Maggie! Don't get your knickers in a knot, mate. I'm only trying to kill you. Nah, this ain't nothing but a tantrum. You don't want me dead. You want me home. But that's not Salvo. Not anymore. I like that this makes the drama more personal. We'll keep coming back to this. The games make me feel alive. Like I found me place. Spent a whole lot of years not being able to say that. That's actually a pretty huge development on Fuse's character that I keep sort of ignoring personally. They're called legends for more reasons than you might think. They're good people. And if they'll have me, they're my people. Nah, mate. They ain't nothing but dust. Oh, God damn it, Maggie. Although she's right in certain ways, but Fitzroy! To be continued. So yeah, this chapter I think sort of redeems this season's story a little. Like it had felt a bit hollow that we'd just gone after Maggie and she'd ambushed us twice. Feels like a bit of a shallow setup, like structurally. And then there were the 3 weeks off, or 4 weeks off, however long it was, like this gap here, that we actually maybe could have used some fleshing out of how these characters relate to each other, so that this feels more earned. Like, yeah, he's right, they're good people, and they show it, like, regularly. And this is where he wants to be, but I don't know, those few weeks off, we could have maybe used just them in the games, them in a more realistic situation, to see how they actually bond as people a bit more. And because Maggie stopped her Ring Fury event before we went after her here, and now she started up a new thing, and all of her modes are meant to be fun, but she's meant to be seen in the story as an actual threat. Like, the game almost, like, hollows out any kind of threat that she presents. Like, we know that she can't kill the legends, so it feels a bit empty, which is a shame. Like, I like that they've brought it back down to this more personal level, that obviously I think Maggie does care about the freedom of Salvo as well as Fuse. But you can see here, like, that she does care for his happiness. That's a great personal development. But I don't know, it kind of, with the setup that we have, with the setting and the situation that we've been given, yeah, at least we're getting a personal drama out of it, but it feels a little hollow in sort of like the plotting element of things. It's really weird to me. Like, I've seen a lot of people hate the modes that Maggie brought in and hate Maggie, which, you know, I don't hate her. I actually really enjoy Maggie. She's fun, but she's meant to be an antagonist. She's meant to be a threat. And, like, this is still good that she's still sticking to her guns, that she's not going to just roll over to talk no jutsu. I like that. But, and, you know, it shows her as irrational and over-emotional, which, that's a great character flaw to have. She's willing to just kill people off to get Fuse back. Yeah, strong development of the character. So I like what they're doing with Maggie, and there seems to be a lot more in store for her in the future. But yeah, this Armageddon series as a whole has just felt a little shallow to me, which is a shame because I think there's some good elements to this. But what we can see from here, this final bit of the chapter here, I assume that these two will reconcile from their mutual explosion next week. But as we've seen in the Caustic Watson chapter, the final chapter of the Caustic treatment storyline, the final page showed Fuse celebrating off in the distance from Watson and Caustic, right? It was then pointed out to me by one of my friends in the comments that he's most likely celebrating with Lifeline and Bloodhound, which would suggest that they've actually brought Maggie to some sort of justice, or at least stopped her impeding attacks or gotten her to back off Fuse. But Watson also mentions that the Syndicate have some cruel punishments in mind for her as well. So does that mean that she's been captured, or that she's been put on some form of a back foot? Caustic has given up Caustic treatment and his sort of plan for Solace City at present. Is that something that Maggie is going to go after, or is that what the Syndicate is going to subject Maggie to? Are those two storylines a little linked in there somehow? But if Maggie has actually been captured by the Syndicate, I don't know if that's what Fuse would want. I don't think it's something he would exactly celebrate, because I think he does care about Maggie still. I don't think he'd hate her enough at this point to want her to be, like, the Syndicate's property. Ugh. And then the storyline that sets you up with is very similar to Crypto and Mila's storyline, but if you then develop Mila out to be working with the Syndicate, like she's Big Sister or something like that, then you can actually have Fuse and Maggie come into almost a more direct, like, open conflict between Fuse and the Syndicate, that he's like, yeah, I mean, I wanted her to back off, but, like, no, stop cruelly punishing my oldest friend. I just wanted to back off, man. Like, Salvo is its own place. Hopefully Maggie will be able to show into the future the benefits and the detriments of having the Syndicate run Salvo, right? See how Sandring and Kelly relates to it all. See if she can wrest power back from them. But Fuse might have to be put into a situation where he has to choose, or that he wants to choose Maggie over his life now. At least setting her free to win Salvo back is a good balance between where this could leave us now, with Maggie on the bottom end of the power dynamic. Season 8 has been all about switching up power dynamics, so that she's at least on the run from the Syndicate as opposed to openly fighting them, or if she's, like, just literally being captured by them. And if she has, and if they are punishing her as they say, that gives Fuse a bit more of a direct cause to do something about it. Like, they obviously have their beef between them, but that's on an emotional level I think they can both understand and compromise with each other on, right? Maggie can grow to going back to Salvo without Fuse, and Fuse can grow to helping Maggie be the better person she can without him, so that they can both move on with their lives. Like, it looks like they've got a good setup for their future in the works here. And especially as we know, the Overtime comic does still involve a mad scientist, brutal assassins, and the Syndicate fixing the games. They've got a bit more of a prevalent role in that story, it seems, so I think we will be seeing a bit more of Maggie there as well, however they intend to deal with her. So yeah, it's good to see the character dynamics holding relatively solid throughout Armageddon, but that personally only really pertains to the main dynamic of Fuse and Maggie. Maggie's the character you want to develop out the most, right? But Bloodhound and Lifeline feel a little wasted in this story, and the huge gap in the middle was a really big opportunity to expand on their actual interpersonal relations. And then the Ring Fury event sort of gave you, oh god, you're going to hate me for using this term, but it created ludonarrative dissonance, where how Maggie was perceived through the game contrasted, like, dissonantly with how she's meant to be perceived in the story. I found her fun when she was meant to be a threat, and a lot of the community seemed to dislike Maggie when we're not meant to hate her. She's meant to be relatable in some respect, right? So I don't know what it is exactly. I get the feeling it's the clash of those two perspectives of the character that have given people, like, a very mixed response to Maggie. I really enjoy her. I want to see more of her. There's a lot to bring out of the sort of socio-political dynamic of the war on Salvo. I really like they have reined it down to this more personal conflict between her and Fuse, that you can see how much they both care for each other and that they do relate on some kind of level. But I'm also glad that she sticks to her guns despite it. There's a lot of good character writing in this season's comic. I just feel that the structure used as a framework to give us this character development maybe just felt a little hollow, and that's a shame. which you'll find is also a strength of the community comics as well, that they're often the conclusion of a storyline in themselves, so will often feel more satisfying as a result, and they usually have the build-up of either the season's storyline to make them feel conclusive and satisfying, or they've even had, like with the Watson Caustic storyline, they have had multiple seasons of investment put into making that conclusion feel satisfying. Never mind when they actually use those conclusions to set you up for things for the future as well. One final note before I wrap up here, I am very glad to finally see that the black and white images was actually like a visual glitch. Like, it's a shame that it was a glitch, right? Like, come on guys, like you could have maybe done some quality assurance on that one, and it took like 2 weeks for them to fix, and I don't think they really said anything about it, but it is really nice to have seen the original line work and then see how much it gets augmented by the coloration. Like, the coloring really, really helps this season. This chapter especially looks so much better with color. In fact, the one before does as well. I'm just gonna keep like scrolling back through it. It's the night sky, shades of purple and stuff. I think this shot looks yeah, this looks so much better. So yeah, I'm glad this was a visual glitch. I'm gutted that there was a glitch that brought this into things at all as a problem though, do you know? So yeah, sadly, Armageddon has felt kind of like the weakest comic season storyline so far. Hopefully this will give us something to develop out of it that'll make it feel a bit more earned in retrospect, right? Like how you can go back to season 6 now and there's elements of the first chip that have become important, or at least more important over time. Again, I probably gave this chapter maybe a bit more time discussing it than it deserved, but I think it's good to try and find the issues with some of these stories so that we can present them as criticism to the writers so that they can take them on board and improve their stories in the future. That's something apparently they've done with season 9. They might be going back to a Broken Ghost style framework, which I think everyone will appreciate. The actual prose style was much better, as they're releasing an actual paper independent release with the Overtime comic. Suggests to me that they've been able to push back on whatever deal they have with Dark Horse so that no, we'll release your comics outside the game. The in-game storytelling we have to do is now a bit more subject to the criticisms of the community. And we are going to go back to the original prose style that gave everyone much more investment, understanding, and like personal agency on imagining how the story actually took place. So, with that, again, finally, that's enough out of me for today. Thank you for staying with me, friends. I've been Euclidean Vision, the emotional support. Take care of yourselves out there, teammates. And may the glorious light of Baskerville shine within you. Bye-bye.